fixed rents in New York City. What does that mean to you?
No, that wasn't a typo. It wasn't a misspeak. This is the KGB of rent control.
Absolutely. The RCB. Well, I was going to say not to be confused with the KGB, but you can confuse them with the KGB.
Because they just did something similar to the KGB.
Want to talk about socialism, buddy? Here it comes.
So,
Well, look at the mayor.
So
Is that guy still alive?
He's still alive, still
Oh my
well.
gosh, they haven't killed him yet? I'm shocked.
So Chris and I are going to break down the news for the week and how it pertains to you as an investor. If you are an investor or you're considering investing into multifamily, this is the episode you want to catch. We're going to break it down in some simple terms right now. SpaceX has been dominating the headlines. We're going to cover what their recent move, their big bond move, is doing to the market. We're going to talk about what Trump did to a bipartisan bill.
Are people going nuts?
Some insanity happening. We're going to talk about how you could potentially increase your profits by 7 to 10% through pets. We'll talk about how and why that works in just a minute.
That just sounded bad.
And then we're also going to get into what the new Fed chair may or may not do with interest rates. All that and more on the Opportunity Zone. So first up, I'm going to do a little quick proverb. I'm going to hand the ball over to you, Chris, for a blessing, and we'll jump in. So the one that the boys are learning this week is 11:7. It's Proverbs 11:7. It goes like this: when the wicked die, their hopes die with them, for they rely on their own feeble strength. That's it. I'll hand it over to you, sir.
Amen. Heavenly Father, please be with us in this moment as we share our experience and our wisdom, the wisdom that we've learned the easy way and the wisdom we've learned through experience with the people that are listening, so that they can have wise investments, so that they can strive for generational wealth and have the peace that comes with having that taken care of in their life, so that they can better serve you and have an impact in this world. Please bless the things that Nate and I say today, and please bless everybody that's listening and aware of what's going on. Ask all this in your son's name. Amen.
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 All right. So I'm going to pull up, first off, this whole KGB, RCB, whatever you want to call it, and then let's explain this. So, Chris, I want you to really weigh in on this, but what's happened is Mandami appoints this rent control board, much like the KGB.
Just like the KGB, yep.
And for the first time since the 80s, they froze both 1-year leases and 2-year leases.
That's nuts.
You even got the Apartment Association of New York, the president resigning, saying that the entire thing that they did, all these audits and testimonies, it was all a charade. They knew the outcome prior to doing any of them. But what does this mean? Like, you could even relate it back to why we don't touch that state.
What does this mean? So let's say you have to renovate your apartments to make them livable, or even to pass inspection, you've got to invest money. Well, guess what? You can't raise your rents. So if you're upside down in the place, you have no ability to increase the revenue of a building. It could very well force you into bankruptcy. How nuts is that? So they're basically killing capitalism. Absolutely killing capitalism. It's just, this is the most insane thing. And then they wonder why investors are leaving in droves. And by the way, Florida's closed. Stay home, people.
So now, since this passed,
yeah,
I saw somebody do one of those TikTok videos. I happen to know the guy. He's a big commercial investor in Minneapolis, does office space. And he said, New York is just the beginning. It's going to spread to other states.
Well, he's sitting in Minneapolis, you just said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah.
So you would agree with that statement? It's going to spread to states like Minneapolis.
Well, no, it's in Minneapolis as a result of I'm going to say it and hate me if you want, of the Democrats.
They've been renamed by the president
as
Democrats.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know what?
He's an insult tossing man.
Yeah. You know what? But I don't want to get off on that tangent, but like the Democrats back when I was a kid, they were like different. It was, it's so bad. It's so bad. Like Democrats represented hardworking people that wanted a fair exchange for their labor. Fair wages, fair. Not handouts. I don't know what happened to this socialistic. I don't know where all this socialism came from with the Democrats. I mean, it was respectable. It was different, but respectable, right? They had a real purpose, not socialism. And I don't know what happened. Like, as my grandpa would say, it's going to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
think about Kennedy.
Yeah.
Kennedy was a great president.
Yeah, it was a Democrat. Do you remember it was a
Yeah,
Democrat?
yep. I had dinner on Friday night with an investor from Colombia, and he grew up in the United States in the 70s.
Okay.
And then he went back to Colombia, and he said that the United States today versus the 70s, it breaks his heart.
Yeah.
He said this in the 70s, it
different.
was very, very different place.
Yeah, it's different, you know, and yeah, it's just crazy. It's like the politicians today, and I hate getting into politics, but I'm going to do it. It's like they're fighting just to win. They're not fighting for anything worthwhile. They just want to win, even if they're wrong. I mean, and this brings me to one of the things that we're going to talk about today. I mean, I'm a Trump fan, and I probably shouldn't say that because I'm going to get hate mail, but you can't argue with the man's financial policies. I mean, the country is turning around. But even, like, seriously, we're fighting just to fight and win rather than for the better of the American people sometimes. Anyways, enough of my rant.
Before we go there, because
Let's
we'll
not
talk
go
about
there.
that. We got SpaceX dominated the headlines,
Yeah.
and they just dominated again, not because of their IPO, but because the IPO price has been slipping. Well, not the price of
The
that,
price
but
of
the
stock.
stock.
Yeah.
So now they're trading under, and people are kind of mad because SpaceX has gone for a $25 billion bond offering. They're saying this is cheaper money for them, and they're going to use this to basically expand their Mars program and everything else. But it's rocked the market. The market seems pretty upset. Like, SpaceX, why'd you do an IPO? And then all of a sudden you're looking for bond money.
Why? You know, you said that the reason you think is because if they've got the stock price up there, and now they're looking for cheaper money. As anybody knows, debt is cheaper than equity, right? So, and stock is equity for all intent and purposes. And once you do the IPO, it's done, right? You don't get any more money if the stock price collapses. It's not relevant. You already got your cash. You did the offering. You got your cash, and the only people that suffer are the existing stockholders and maybe people that have been given what you would call it. Oh my gosh,
Shares.
options.
Hmm.
You know, the executive options are the ones that are going to suffer in that. So I don't understand. But one thing I do know is, man, he's crazy like Trump is, like crazy like a fox. So if he's doing something for a reason, and there's a long game involved that we don't know or we don't see. And I'm always interested to see where that lands, for sure. Always interested to see where that lands.
Chris, could you explain it for a 12-year-old why debt is cheaper than equity?
Sure. When you have debt, you pay a fixed interest rate on the money. Let's say, you know, debt right now you probably get for 6.5, maybe even 7%. That is cheaper than giving away a percentage of your company, especially if, you know, you take, heck, I wish I had the equivalent of 1% of Microsoft in the first year of its founding. If I had 1% of Microsoft today, do you have any idea of the value of that? So just consider that. So and you know, they were selling heaps of Microsoft for, you know, for a little bit of money. That's a perfect example. What is that 10% of the company that they gave away for, you know, $1 million back then? It's worth $1 billion. So that in and of itself is a demonstration or an example of why you want to borrow money at 6 or 7% rather than give away 6 or 7% of the company. The valuation of SpaceX is going to go through the roof at some point, even more than it is now. It just is. And so how that applies to real estate. So, and that's where we operate. So let me bring that example back home to something more feasible and more tangible and relatable to the people that are listening. If I give away 30% of the company or 30% of an asset for $1 million, when I sell it a year from now, I get to give away 30% of the profits. If I buy, let's say 3 years from now, that's unreasonable, right? If I increase the value of the property $1 million in 3 years and I sell it, I have to give $300,000 to whoever gave me the $1 million investment. If I borrow $1 million, I have to pay $70,000 back a year or $210,000. and pay them back their 100,000. It's just better math. And usually along the way, if you've got somebody investing in your property, you're paying them pref returns too. So you'll be paying them 6% along the way, and then 30% of the profit. So and I probably just made it really more complicated than it needed to be, but that's what happens. I'd rather pay a fixed interest rate rather than give away a chunk of the profits later on.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. So for anyone that's looking at investing in real estate, Chris summarized it with the $1 million example. Take $1 million in equity, you're going to pay that person $300,000 if they're 30%.
Yep.
Okay. $1 million in debt, you're only paying the cost of the interest each
Correct.
month, each year. So that's 60, 70 grand or so.
Yep.
So it's cheaper to go with debt than equity.
100%.
So SpaceX is making a play. They're going after debt this round. All right. Now I'm going to bring up.
This is nuts. Like, I was just talking about winning the fight just to win the fight. It doesn't make, this was his bill. What the heck?
So what's going on is that we had both parties we had both Congress and the Senate pass a bipartisan housing bill. They call it the 21st Century Road Housing Act. Basically, this is banning institutional ownership of rentals, more than 150. They cleared up a lot of the hogwash on it, but they passed this together, and Trump was pushing for them to pass it. They passed it. It's sitting on his desk. He's about to sign it, and he says, nope, hold up. I'm not going to sign it until the SAVE Act is passed. SAVE Act is him requiring voter ID.
Yep.
And he's pushing that. He wants that done.
Yeah, but he started this bill. Like, all right. So this is my interpretation. I don't have inside facts that you don't have. I believe he started this whole drama to force private equity to build, to help alleviate the housing crisis. What do I mean by that? You can't own more than 150 single-family residences for rental, unless you build them. If you build them, you can own 1 million. So I believe that this was his way of forcing private equity to build communities, to turn them into rental units, to help alleviate the housing shortage. So that was what I perceive his insanity or his madness was, to manipulate people to get them to do what they want to do. Now they're willing to do what he wants to do, and he says, hang on a second, change my mind. You got to do this first. I don't understand. He won. Take the yes. Move on. No, this dude's doubling down. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense.
I think he's just using the momentum of bipartisan support to get the
listen,
voter ID.
Dude, you just got the other side to cooperate with you. Now you're gonna punch him in the face.
He said he was going to do it this way.
But he's crazy like a fox. He's always there's always a game that we don't know. There's always something he's playing that we don't know. And it goes all the way back to the tariffs. Oh, you're nuts. But look, now we're able to lower taxes, and we're balancing the budget, or not quite balancing, but getting surpluses, and all kinds of positive things happen as a result of that insanity. I don't know what's going to come of this insanity, other than cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Well, here's something that's not quite as insane. So,
this is cool.
Unleashing profits with pets.
But listen. Can I interject something before you do this?
You explain this.
Hey, listen. No, I want to explain this. Listen, when you buy a property, sometimes there's all kinds of ways to make additional income. And that's one of the nuances of becoming a good operator is you understand these things. Like we in certain properties, we'll do things like put an Amazon box in and charge people for it, or we'll do preferred parking where you get to park right close to the building, or covered parking, or storage. We'll create storage units on site to get the rents up, or even $50, $75, $100 more a month out of the existing tenant base to help increase the value of a property. Because in commercial multifamily real estate, the value of the property is based on the net operating income. And so if you don't increase your expenses and you increase the rent, you increase the net operating income of the property, therefore forcing the value of the property up. So you look for all kinds of ways to do this. Valet trash is another great one. And so is...
All right. Pet rent.
Pet rent.
So it's what this article is basically pointing out is that the majority, we're not talking the minority, we're talking the majority of renters have a pet, 57%. And if you are a landlord that's excluding them, you are missing out on the rent.
It's foolish. It's foolish, crazy foolish. So let me break this down for you. One of the things that older people, Gen Zers, suffer from is loneliness, right? So they get a pet. Their wife died, their husband died, so they get a pet. So here's the cool thing. You only have one occupant of that one bedroom apartment, right? Less wear and tear on your facility, less wear and tear on your building, less wear and tear on everything, the plumbing, everything else, less water usage, yada, yada, yada. And then you get a pet in there instead of the second tenant, and then you charge an extra $100 a month for that pet. Well, if you get $1,000 apartment and charge $100 for the pet, you've just increased the value of that apartment by 10%. And it's only one person and a pet rather than two people. I say it's a win-win. And the amount of Gen Zers that own pets is like 57% or something stupid. And 35% of the population own pets. So if you don't accept pets, you're excluding 35% of the population from being a tenant of yours. It's a good play. Like, and as much as it sounds horrible, it doesn't cost a lot to put up a dog run if you do it right. A couple $1,000, man, you win. I mean, think about that. That's great. It's great.
What do you say to the person that's like, well, insurance companies, they restrict those breeds. You can't do that.
Yeah, I say that's kind of rough. It's rough when they do that. Yes, there are insurance companies that still restrict some breeds, but everybody is getting more lenient with regards to the breeds that you can have in there. And let's be honest, you really don't want a 200-pound dog living in your property. That's really rough, and you don't want to do that at all. But other than that, the smaller breeds, cats, that kind of thing. We start getting into snakes and stuff, I don't know. Some people, shy away from that kind of thing with exotic pets, but I don't know how you would ever know that they had it because they never come out of the apartment. I don't know. Yeah, smaller breeds usually under 50 pounds is a good place to be because those are the lap dogs that most people have, and you don't have too many instances of aggression with those smaller breeds.
Chris, I'm gonna.
Can I rough one more time?
It's
rough.
You can go rough about this. So what this is showing, and sorry it's cut off a little bit, but what it's showing is that the amount of inflation and the amount of population growth, that's the purple and orange lines, it's drastically under what local governments are charging in property tax or what they're increasing by. So property taxes have been going up, but it's not in line with population growth nor inflation.
No, but it's in line with price growth, right? So single family housing has gone through the roof. And a lot of times in a lot of communities, in a lot of states, the price or the new taxable price or the next tax basis is based on the sale price of the property. So in places like Florida, when property values went through the roof, taxes went through the roof, right? They just went along with it. But we have this thing called the Homestead Act in the state of Florida. If you stay in your house, they can only increase your taxes 3% a year if it's a homestead property. So that's what you see there. It's a direct correlation. I bet you could almost overlay it over the top of housing prices. House prices. I'm still stuck on the rough. Rough.
All right, Chris, I got to get your take on Mr. Kevin Wersch, new Fed chairman. A lot of people are starting to say that there's too much, he's up against too much pressure right now. He's not going to be able to cut rates. In fact, because inflation's gone up since he stepped into his chair, he's going to have to raise rates next time. And the betting markets are starting to lean more towards him raising rates this next time. Do you have a take on this?
So please understand that everything that I look at on a day-to-day basis, I'm in multifamily real estate. So a lot of my experience and opinion are slighted towards multifamily real estate. If you drive rates up, it's going to drive property values down, which is a good thing if you're buying and a bad thing if you're selling. As a result of the last increase by the Fed, that whole couple of years of increasing rates, we saw multifamily transactions dip and people holding on to properties. What's going to happen now is there is going to be more destabilization of the banks because as the rates go up and people refinance, they can't make the loans work anymore, right? Because the DCR, the debt coverage ratio, is just not there with the increased rates. So people are going to have to either become more out of cash to get the loan balances down to refi, to maintain the property at where it is, Or banks are going to have to start foreclosing. And we've seen it in Atlanta where people are just throwing their hands up in the air and walking away. Time and time again, that's happening. So right now, cash is king. And if you're a good operator and you can work this right, and you've got a proven track record, you'll find that banks will work with you and lower the interest rate for you rather than the existing property owner because they failed to operate as it was.
Mm.
So it's a good thing, bad thing at the same time.
Chris, so I took a call with our student Bruce,
Mm-hmm.
and he has a 11 pack from one seller that's he's 90 years old,
Wow.
and he refinanced them all. I don't know exactly what kind of loan, but he said that they're agency loans. He refinanced them during COVID, but for whatever reason, the occupancy slipped on him. He's down in the 50s.
Whoa.
And so he's getting run over right now.
Wow.
And there's more, like Bruce is saying, Nate, I'm overwhelmed right now. There's so many deals like this that I could go after. This is crystal ball talk.
Yeah.
But how long, like, do windows like this of opportunity open?
Okay, so we initially 2 weeks ago, a month ago, I would have told you that the window was closing, but it looks like it might be opening back up. We might be able to string this out for another 6-8 months, and then the window's going to close hard because people have been praying, renegotiating, extending, trying to hold on to the good rate loans that they have. But at some point, the banks are saying, listen, I can be making 7% of that money. I'm making it 3.5% with you. You got to refinance. And by the way, you got to bring $8 million to the table to do it in order to cover the DCR, which is the debt coverage ratio. In other words, the bank wants to see you have $1.25 for every dollar that you spend on debt. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, man. And, I hate to be opportunistic, but at some point, like, the banks are going to take those properties back. So it's a good thing. Another 6 months, maybe 8 months. So grab the deals where you can. I mean, we just seem to keep getting. Let me try that in proper English. we seem to keep getting blessed with deal after deal after deal that just keeps working out amazingly. So I don't know. Be with the right partner at the right place at the right time and watch God work.
Speaking of being blessed with a deal, this is Mr. Atlanta right here.
Mm-hmm. Fifth largest property in the Atlanta suburb.
And we got this at 73 million.
73 million smackaroos.
It appraised for 122.
That's 3 years ago.
This is we absolutely crushed this with this one. And this one, once we get done doing what we do to these places, which is clean them up, rent them out, stabilize them, then this thing should have no problem reaching back to its old appraisal.
It gets legs instantly, $50 million in equity.
If you are an investor and you're looking for an opportunity right now, there is a little bit of room left on this one.
Yeah, the 1031 fell apart.
Yeah, we have a 1031 investor that
He can't sell his property. His transaction fell apart, so that means he's not going to have the cash to invest with us. So we have a little bit of room.
And this particular one, from a tax perspective, it has the potential to give you a K1 loss. And I know that sounds
scary. Loss. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's a paper loss because the government allows us right now to take this thing called depreciation. It's a major tax benefit. If you're looking to reduce or potentially eliminate your taxable income for this next tax season, then this might be the vehicle for you.
Did you have to write a check this year? Don't do it again next year. Do it once, shame on you. Do it twice, shame on me. No, don't do it. Get involved in this kind of transaction, and you get, like Nate was saying, bonus and accelerated depreciation. You get that paper loss, not cash loss, paper loss on you. And if you have a proper tax structure for your life, you can write it off on your taxes and not pay taxes on that money. And then what we hope is that you take that extra savings and you have a positive impact in the world and help the world in some positive way.
So if that's interesting to you, reach out to our office, type the word call in the comments down below, or you can always visit homeinvest.com/book. And looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Chris, anything you want to close with?
Listen, I'd like to always close with this. God has turned my life around in a way that you just can't even possibly imagine. I have so much on the inside. I'm always overflowing. I know that God loves me, and I know that he loves you. So if he's willing to do it for me, I guarantee he's willing to do it for you. I get on my knees every morning and ask God for his will for my life today and make it real, real apparent, because I'm a little slow sometimes. When I follow his will, you'd be amazed at the joy that I have on the inside. You can have that too. God bless you all. Thank you for being here.